Learning a new language can often feel like trying to crack an unbreakable code. Even if you're familiar with the vocabulary and grammar, when it comes time to speak, things can feel just off. You might find yourself saying the right words, but somehow the sounds don't feel quite right. This struggle is common, and it's something most language learners face. But here's the good news: your pronunciation can be fixed, and it's not as daunting as it seems. Today, we're going to break it down into simple steps that will help you sound more like a native speaker. No complicated rules, just pure practice.
All right, Emily, we've all been there. You know a ton of English words, you've studied hard, but when it's time to speak them out loud, something feels off. Your pronunciation isn't quite there, and it just doesn't sound right. How many times have you heard someone say a word in English and thought, that doesn't sound quite like what I expected?
You're absolutely right, Liam. It happens to everyone. And it's frustrating, isn't it? But guess what? It's not because you're bad at English. It's not about failing at the language. It's all about your mouth and tongue not being used to making certain English sounds.
Exactly. And it's something that happens to everyone, especially when you're speaking a language that's different from your own. The sounds in English can be completely new, and your mouth needs time to get used to them. Let's start by talking about why your pronunciation might feel off and how we can fix it.
Okay, let's dive in. One common issue is that your mouth is just not used to making specific English sounds. For example, if you're from a language like French, you might struggle with it to sound. You might say this as dis instead of this. And it's totally okay. It's not that you're bad at English, it's just that your tongue is used to the sounds of your native language.
That's right. It's all about muscle memory. Your mouth and tongue are accustomed to the sounds of your own language. So, when you try to make a sound in English that doesn't exist in your native language, it feels weird. But don't worry. Just like any other skill, practice is the key here.
The trick is to become a sound detective, like Liam said earlier. What do we mean by that? Well, instead of just repeating words, you need to listen carefully to every little sound. For example, listen to the difference between sleep and slip. Those two words seem similar, but there's a tiny difference in how the vowel sound is pronounced.
Let's break that down. When you say sleep, the vowel sound is longer, it's like stretching. But when you say slip, the vowel sound is much quicker, sharper. It's subtle, but it changes the meaning. You could easily mix them up in a conversation, and the listener might get confused.
Exactly. Here's a real-life example. Imagine a French student learning English who struggles with the ch sound in think and that. They might say dis instead of this, or dat instead of that. This might confuse a native speaker, but with practice the student can improve. They could use apps to compare their pronunciation to a native speaker's and refine their skills.
Now, let's talk about something equally important: intonation. English has its own rhythm, like a song. If you speak in a flat, robotic tone, it can be really hard to get your message across. So, what's the key to mastering intonation? It's all about making your voice rise and fall, just like how you naturally do when you're speaking in your own language.
Totally. For example, if you ask a question, your voice should rise at the end. Let's try something. Repeat after me. How was your weekend? If you say it with a rising tone at the end, it sounds like a natural question, right?
Yeah, but what happens if you don't raise your voice at the end? It just sounds flat, like you're not really asking a question. For instance, I once heard a learner say, "Is this your book?" with no rising tone. It sounded like a statement, not a question at all. But when they said, "Is this your book?" with a rising intonation, suddenly it felt like a real question.
That's such a simple but powerful tip. Intonation is everything when it comes to making your speech sound more natural and engaging. It makes you sound more confident and sure of what you're saying.
Okay, here's the next big one: stressing the right words. Stress can completely change the meaning of a sentence. In English, we can emphasize different words to make our message clearer. For example, if you say, "I never said she stole my money," but stress the word never, it shows that you're denying the accusation entirely.
Right, and let's say you want to imply that someone else did it. You would stress she. So it would sound like, "I never said she stole my money," which makes it sound like you're accusing someone else. Just by stressing a different word, you change the entire message.
It's like a magic trick for your speech. Let's say you're talking about a project, and you say, "I never said we should cancel the meeting," and stress never. You're completely denying it. But if you stress meeting, it sounds like you're focused on the event rather than the suggestion. Playing with stress can help others hear exactly what you mean.
Now let's talk about tongue twisters. They might sound like something you only use for fun, but they're actually amazing for your pronunciation. Tongue twisters are tricky because they make you pronounce similar sounds in quick succession. For example, she sells seashells by the seashore. Try saying it.
It's harder than it looks, right? And the more you try to speed up, the more your tongue ties itself in knots. But that's the whole point. By practicing with tongue twisters, you're teaching your mouth to move quickly and precisely, which is exactly what you need for natural speech.
I've worked with a student who had trouble with the R and L sounds. Tongue twisters helped a lot. One that worked wonders was red lorry, yellow lorry. With daily practice, they could pronounce those tricky sounds with much more ease. It had a huge impact on their overall speech clarity.
Here's a big one that I know a lot of learners struggle with: accent. Many people think they need to sound like a native speaker to speak good English. But that's not true. What matters most is clarity. Your accent is part of who you are, and you don't have to get rid of it to speak English clearly.
Exactly. Whether you're from Brazil, India, or France, your accent is part of your identity. The important thing is making sure that your accent doesn't make your speech unclear. I've worked with learners from all over the world, and I've noticed that some people struggle with the L and R sounds, while others have difficulty with vowel sounds.
And that's totally okay. The goal is to focus on making your pronunciation clear enough that others can understand you. For example, a French speaker might roll their RS, and that's okay. Embrace it and make it clear, rather than trying to lose it completely.
Alright, let's move on to one of my favorite techniques. Shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to a sentence and repeat it immediately after, trying to copy the speaker's rhythm, stress, and intonation.
It's like echoing. It helps you build fluency, improve pronunciation, and get your rhythm down all at once. The best part? You can do it at your own pace, whenever you want. You can start by listening to a sentence, then pausing and repeating it out loud.
One of my friends, who was learning English by watching TV shows, used shadowing to improve his speaking skills. He'd listen to a scene, pause, and repeat it. Over time, his confidence grew, and his speaking became much more natural.
It's all about consistency. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Just have fun with it, and don't rush. Enjoy the process, and you'll see improvement.
So let's wrap this up. Improving your pronunciation isn't about perfection. It's about practice. Whether it's becoming a sound detective, mastering intonation, stressing the right words, practicing tongue twisters, or using shadowing, every little bit counts.
And remember, your accent is part of you. Don't stress about sounding like a native speaker. Focus on clarity, and you'll be understood. Keep practicing, and you'll get closer to sounding more natural every day.
That's right. So take it one step at a time, embrace your accent, and keep having fun with your learning. You're doing great. Keep it up.